Should I buy a house now or wait until 2026? Here's my thoughts on that, being a 9-year real estate agent here in Colorado Springs. Currently, 22 states are either in or at a high risk of a recession. 16 states are actually doing well and growing, and then 13 states, including Colorado, are just treading water. So I would agree with that. Here in Colorado Springs, the housing market has been kind of flat as far as home prices go since 2021, 2022, where some neighborhoods have appreciated, some homes have gone up in value, and mostly it's just the move-in ready remodeled homes. So like no deferred maintenance, the kitchen's all updated, bathrooms are updated, all of that, like it goes. You know, great layout, open floor plan, priced well, they still go, and they can even go in a week here. But the average time for a house to be on market in Colorado Springs before it goes under contract is about 55, 60 days. So it's about 2 months. Most homes are not going in a week or less. It's not that kind of market anymore. It's not a seller's market anymore. It's a buyer's market now. We're at just over 4 months worth of home inventory. So if no homes went on the market, from today on, it would take a little over 4 months for all of those homes to sell. And I mean, since November 2024, a lot of people have been, let's say, uncertain about the housing market and the economy and other things. So it's kind of like take the foot off the gas and I don't need to buy. Nobody needs to buy, by the way. So I've just got to wait until, let's see how things potentially die down, shake out. Are the interest rates going to drop? No. Are the home prices going to drop? No. Are any policies, any political changes going to happen that are going to improve the housing market? And meanwhile, people aren't simpletons. We can see that the price of homes is going up. Meanwhile, your income is not. Like you can see on this chart here, nationally, how much home prices have gone up versus the median income, which is just very slowly gone up. And for Colorado Springs, it's very similar to these national numbers. The median home price, sales price in Colorado Springs right now is at $450,000, and the median income in Colorado Springs is about $80,000. So you need to make at least $150,000 a year household just to be able to afford the average home price here. A 2-week government shutdown isn't helping anything. National job loss, local job loss isn't helping anything. You got Space Command, which has now been reassigned to Huntsville. So in the next 2 or 3 years, that's slowly gonna move over to there. But that's Space Command, that's not Space Force. So we still have that big Space Force, but what that means to move Space Command is you've got some contractor jobs for the government that are going to be, they'll cancel those or finish those out and then move on to Huntsville. So those jobs will lose. You've seen other local job loss here too, but I don't know that it's necessarily more than what you kind of see, up and down. There's jobs gained and added, so maybe somebody else can weigh in on that. But that brings us to foreclosures. Like, are there a whole bunch of foreclosures happening? Because that's what happened in 2008. And it's like, no. Like, yes, there were a bunch of foreclosures happening then because lenders were giving out loans without checking anybody's income or their credit or their ability to pay. And they were also putting them into adjustable rate mortgages or ARMS mortgages. So with the ARMS mortgage, they'd get you in at an introductory low rate. And then after 2, 3, 5 years, that rate would go up several points. And so sticker shock, when that day finally comes of, oh, I can't afford that because I work a pizza job. Whoopsies. That's what happened in 2008, among other things. But since then, bankers learned, and now they don't do that. They make sure that everybody that gets a loan today, and in the past many years, is very well qualified to do so. Every T and I, everything is checked. And the foreclosure rate back around 2008 was anywhere from like 5 to 11%. And meanwhile today, it's like less than 2. Homeowners today also typically have a lot more equity than they did back then. So especially if you bought before 2020, you're sitting on a lot of equity. And if you sell, you're still gonna make a profit. If you bought within the past 5 years, you're not making a profit. That applies now, and that applies historically. There's just not enough growth for you to do that. But even if home prices were to drop, you own the house. You don't need to sell the house just because the value dropped. Like if there comes something like you need to move, that's different. But you don't generally need to move, if that makes sense. Like, just because the prices drop doesn't mean, oh, I gotta sell. Just hang on to it. Like, the values will go back up as they have historically. And I know other agents and people like to say, well, home prices always go up, home values always go up, which is true, minus 2008 and maybe a couple other recessions where it dipped a bit. But for the most part, the recessions don't really touch the housing market. The other thing that's different about today's housing market versus the one in 2008 is that back in 2008, you had an oversupply of homes that had been built, and there was just not enough people willing to buy those homes to make that work. Versus after 2008, builders got scared and they stopped building homes for 10 years. And so now we have a national shortage of 3 to 4 million homes. And so that makes a big difference on the supply and demand. This is largely just due to supply and demand, the home prices. There are, like I said, slightly over 4 months of supply worth of homes. There's about 2,600, 2,700 homes for sale here in Colorado Springs right now. And we have been selling about 700 to 800 homes per month. And that's pretty typical. Like summer months, it was closer to 1,000 per month. So it's not a huge change. The market didn't die. People are still buying here. And the people who are buying homes in the Springs today are typically dual income earners, no dependents, or maybe they got some government contractor job, military. That's, mainly people with at least $150,000 a year household. And sure, right now we've got a bunch of new construction homes here in the Springs that aren't moving too quickly, and they're given crazy good incentives to get in there. 70 grand and, either bring the price of the house down, buy points down, design credits, closing costs, whatever. Like, they're going, and they'll pay your agent still. Like, they're going out of their way to get you in. And so I have concern about that. I do have concern about there are lenders who are giving out ARMs mortgages. Those buyers are still qualified, but it's still kind of, okay, as soon as you get into speculative lending like that, I have some concern, yes. Seeing somebody say, hey, 22 states are in recession, I have some concern. Seeing that Colorado is stable, that's good, I guess, but it doesn't really matter what the average is doing for you, because for you, it's what can you afford? Do you want to buy a home here? Why do you want to buy a home here? Does it make sense? And are you planning to stay in it for at least 5 years? Because if so, then none of this matters as much. This is for investors who are trying to make the numbers work if they get in and get out of a property quickly. Hello, friend. Just have some friends in our neighborhood walking around. Yeah, this is my house for sale, or my seller's house for sale, by the way, if you're interested. 3887 Point of the Rocks Drive. I'll put a link in the description. Yeah, we've been getting more deer and wildlife here in the past couple of years. It's nice, though. Oh, I didn't see the third one. Hello. And they're very friendly. They're just like this one that came up to me on the walk earlier in the open space. And yeah, I get that I have some bias being a real estate agent. Like, oh yeah, of course I'm gonna tell you to buy a house or sell a house. Well, which one am I gonna tell you to do? But it's not my job to sell you on the market or tell you the market's great or to sell you on a particular house. It's my job to sell you on me. Like, if you're going to use an agent to buy or sell a house, why should you use me? That's what I'm going to sell you on. But I'm going to be realistic with you on what the market is doing too, because the last thing I want is for somebody to have buyer's remorse or to feel like they made a mistake in buying or selling a house. Like, no, I want you to have a great experience, and I want you to feel like this is helping you financially. That is the point, aside from having the house. And by the way, I teach a monthly home buyer class online for free. So if you're interested in that, I will put the link in the description below. Homes in 2008 were selling at like 30 to 50% loss. Versus now, with the seasonal adjustment and with everything else we talked about, home prices might be dropping 5 or 10%, and it's not enough to make a big, huge stink about it. And anybody who bought before 2020 or 2021 has an interest rate that's typically under 3% anyway, so they're not going to refinance. They can't. They're not going to increase their monthly payment, and they're not going to sell. they're going to do everything they can not to sell. So what do you think about the housing market? Do you think home prices are going to go down? Do you think you should buy a house now or wait until 2026? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.